Welcome back to the 831 Living Your Best Life podcast, and we're celebrating the 100th anniversary of Alpine Canada. Alpine Canada played such a big part in my life, and I'm grateful for what they did. And I'm highlighting the 831 people that helped me as an alpine ski racer. Now, the podcast is about the 831 that made a difference for life, not just skiing. But this week, we're featuring some of the people that really made a big difference in helping me become the best skier I could possibly be. And we're answering the question, who were the leaders that made a difference and why? And I hope this story will help you understand what you can do as a leader to make a difference in other people's lives. I'm Jungle Jim Hunter, and this is, as I said, 831 Living Your Best Life podcast that will inspire you and empower you. And please tell your friends to go to their favorite podcast provider or junglejimhunter.com and subscribe, download, click on like, and please rate and review us. And at the same time, write me or let me know how I can help you with your questions and how you want to be coached. Number 62 on my list of 831 is Gary Battistella. The Griffin summer camps on Kootenay Glacier outside Nelson, BC in Western Canada were much more than a ski camp on a glacier. Bob Griffin of Montreal, who was killed in the late 60s in an avalanche in Lech, Austria, would have been proud of what his Griffin camp produced. There is almost an equal number of male and female racers that had distinguished Alpine World Cup careers that went through the Griffin summer camps. The camp required daily chores including washing dishes, making lunches, keeping the garbage collected, carrying fuel up to the lifts on the glacier, and chopping wood for the wood stoves in each tent, and polishing your ski boots. Yes, we wore leather boots, not plastic, that had to be polished every day or they would crack and fall apart. It may surprise my Alpine alumni to know that in all the years I ski raced, I was never given a ski lesson. That's right, never took a lesson. A lesson that taught you how to ski. Now, I learned how to race, and I could skate from the time I could walk, and I skated every day on the rink between the house and the barn until my accident at 10 years of age. But about 18 months later, after recovering, I went skiing and had figured it out in the first hour skiing in Big Mountain. I started racing the race courses, and of course, the racing programs teach you how to race, not to ski. Now, they do now, but in those days, they didn't. It was how to race. I owe a great deal, however, to the first summer at Kootenay Glacier to another coach who had been an Olympian. Because he was an Olympian, like Larry Nellis, I accepted that what he told me would work. And so when Gary Battistella held his technical training each afternoon after a day of skiing, it seemed to me that he was teaching what I would needed to know. The physical training was done and Gary would teach the technical. He would have 5 bamboo gates stuck in the snow or the grass once the snow melted at the campsite, about 5 feet apart like a slalom course. It seemed boring to the other campers, and after 4 days it was just Gary and I working on the proper positioning approach to the turn. Having never had a lesson, it was all new to me. On the slope, we never were given much ski instruction. It was racing instruction. He would line you up before the gate, coming to the gate, by the gate, after the gate, transitioning to the next turn, anticipation of the next turn, and so on. Where your feet should be, ankles should be, knees should be, hips should be, back should be, shoulders, and how to rotate them the right way. And of course, your arms and your hands, and where your head should be, and of course, where your eyes should be. Repeat, next turn. He would do it over and over again. No one in my life talked this way and was so funny. I was a little slow in getting it, and when he would get upset that I was not understanding it, he would use some colorful language a kid from the farm had never heard. No one in my life talked this way, and it was too funny not to laugh. Gary could make faces that made clown faces seem benign, and that made it even funnier. Finally, in frustration, he looked at me and he yelled, "Where did you take a lesson? How did you ever make it down the hill?" And other choice statements I would be too embarrassed to repeat. He paused and wiped the sweat and spit off his face, and I answered him, "Mr. Battistella, I never had a lesson." This was all new to me. When my dad was this angry, I would get sick to my stomach and feel like I would throw up. I felt terrible. At this point, I was emotionally so upset on the inside that I feared the worst was about to happen. Would he give up on me? Would he tell me to go to my tent and do something else? Would what I wanted to learn now be denied because I was too far behind? This fear was real because I knew this fear from the hundreds of times Dad would be angry for not getting something. Gary paused, and his face and countenance changed. He smiled. He put his arm around me, and he said softly, "Let us start at the beginning." The Griffin summer camps were 10 days long. This was the 4th day. And for the rest of the camp, every afternoon, Gary educated me for hours, if I would listen, on how to make a turn from one gate to the next, one step at a time. Step around a turn. First step, ski tips in line with the next gate. Second step, you are in line with the gate. Third step, you start the turn. Fourth step, you are at the gate. Fifth step, you are finishing the turn. Sixth step, you are releasing the edge, transitioning. Seventh step, you are adjusting to increase speed. Repeat. Next turn. Over and over again. It was the only ski instruction I was ever given in my 16 years of ski racing. I had many coaches that taught me how to race, but Gary was the only coach that taught me how to ski. It made all the difference. Learning it standing still. It reminded me of some of my early heroes, John Wooden, who took the time to teach a player how to put on his socks, and Vince Lombardi, that taught his team to walk through the plays until they could do it as naturally as breathing. What's my application today? Bill Gates wrote a fabulous book a few years ago that I love to read, and I tell everyone they should read it. It's called Just Show Up. The interesting thing is, no other kids showed up. This was a pattern I had seen since I started racing. Coaches would be willing to teach or train or help, but few kids showed up, and when they did, they complained, and they did not really want to pay attention. I am so grateful and thankful for the kind way Gary Battistella taught me how to ski. He could have seen a hopeless case, but he didn't. He could have said it was too late for this 13-year-old. Instead, he invested hours of his time over the next 6 days. 1 day of his time to help me understand what I did not know. This is one of the main reasons I want to help people become 831ers. My quote for the day: "You don't have to say much to be kind. Words should be soft from the lips, easy to hear, and inspire images that raise the countenance of the listener." I'm Jungle Jim Hunter, and you've been listening to 831 Living Your Best Life podcast, and I hope you were empowered today to tell your friends to go to their favorite podcast provider or junglejimhunter.com and listen to these podcasts. Please subscribe, click on download, click on like, rate us and review us, and let us know how we're doing and how we can help you. My 1% personal dare today is to ask you to take these 7 or 8 minutes and listen to this podcast and seek one person you meet and take 8 minutes to lift their countenance. I hope we will have grown before we meet next time. Thanks for listening.